So here I am sitting in my grass. It's middle July. We're getting close to the overseeding grass planting season of the late summer, early fall. And I started wondering to myself, how long does it take for Kentucky 31 tall fescue grass to grow from seed? Which is why I started a case study in my garage. I grabbed a cup, planted some seeds in it, and I started growing it. Are you curious how long it takes? I was. You'll find out in this video. Hey guys, it's Brian. I run turfmechanic.com and this Turf Mechanic YouTube channel. Today I wanted to do something mostly just fun and do something kind of scientific. I don't know, kind of like an experiment. Here in my lawn, I do not have fescue. This is a mix mostly of rye and bluegrass, but fescue, tall fescue, is a pretty normal cool season grass. K31 will frequently be used even far south, maybe not all the way to the southern states, but into the transition zone for sure. So just for fun, I decided I'd pick up a bag of K31 and I wanted to kind of do a growing test to see how it grows, so we can kind of identify it a little bit better in the yard, kind of set our expectations for growth if we reseed or overseed. Mostly if you seed fresh, this is kind of a better example for that. So for the sake of this fun little experiment, I'm going to put in this cup one seed. This cup, I'm going to do a light sowing. I'm going to do a medium in this one, and then I'm going to go heavy or dense in this one. Basically, K31 tends to get seeded for new lawns between 5 to 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet. As you can imagine, this is way less than 1 square feet, and by my calculation, starting at 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet, I'd be getting down to about 0.8 ounces of seed for every square foot. For a cup of this size, we're getting into incredibly small measurements, so I'm just going to eyeball it because I have no way of measuring weight by the hundredth of an ounce. So I basically took regular garden soil and I put it in here. Now I know that that is not something that is going to be in the lawn. It's going to be definitely a different mix of soils and loams and sands and clays and all the other goodies that go in the lawn. But hey, this isn't pure science. This is science fiction, right? All right, I am literally going to grab one seed, stick it right there in the middle, and tamp it down slightly. Then I'm going to grab a lot, or a cup, and I'm going to densely put it in this cup. Probably way too dense, but that's what the experiment is all about. Spread it around. This K31 bag is 100% K31 tall fescue seed. However, the seeds are coated. I'm going to do a more medium seeding there. Then I'm going to do a light seeding here, just a few. And that's it. So I've got an extra bit of soil that is pre-moistened. So I'm going to lightly sprinkle it on top. This will ensure seed to soil contact, obviously. Will help keep the seed moist from the bottom and the top. So here in this cup I've put a lot of seed in, covered it up with some moist soil, put a middle amount in there, a light amount, and then we got our single seed. And I just kind of covered it up with a little bit of pre-moistened garden soil. Now I'm going to cover each one of these cups with saran wrap to hold the moisture in so that I don't have to keep watering it. Alright, now I don't have a ton of water inside any of these cups. It should be plenty to germinate the seed, and these seeds have only been under plastic for like less than a minute, and the plastic is already starting to fog up. So there's plenty of humidity in there. Probably won't take that long for these seeds to germinate. Every time you overseed or freshly seed fescue, rule of thumb is you probably want to wait about a week to 2 weeks or so, depending on how you've prepared your seed bed, for the seeds to germinate. Under this condition, with the soil crazy loose and the climate completely controlled in the cup under the plastic, I doubt these are going to take longer than 5 to 10 days to germinate. And then at that point, I'm just going to start doing some time-lapse, picture a day kind of a thing, so we can watch how they grow. So a couple days after I put those seeds down, I moved all of the seed containers into the garage, stuck them on a box, kept the plastic on. 2 days later, I pulled the plastic off to add a little water. And then I didn't come back till 5 days, and they had fully germinated. At least they had started germinating in the dense, medium, and a little bit in the light cup. The single seed hadn't germinated yet after 5 days. Most likely the first ones germinated after 4, but by day 6, my single seed had actually popped up, and it was a solid 1/2 inch. Here you'll see I've been keeping it moist. At this point, I took the plastic off for good. So I started having to come out to the garage every 4 to 7 hours or so to spritz everything down with a fine mist. Finally, by day 10, everything started looking pretty lush. You know, for baby grass seeds in a cup. Dense seeding is obviously thicker than any of the other cups. But if you take a close look at the height, almost all of the grass is really growing at the same speed. For tall fescue, this is still pretty thin blades, so I'm going to call this baby grass. I'm assuming these blades will thicken up. Today it's July 18th, and I finally moved these to a windowsill. So a couple of the blades were approaching 4 inches, so I decided to start my first mow. So today is July 21st. It has been a full 14 days since these little cups of grass were literally just seeds. The reason I emphasize that is because most people want to know how long it takes for grass seed to turn into grass in the lawn. Now, obviously, these little pink paper cups is not the lawn, but it is seed. This is Kentucky 31 tall fescue planted directly into these cups on their own, and within 14 days of placing them in the soil, this is what I've got. And not only do I have this, but I have trimmed each one of these cups twice already. The first time I trimmed them was, I believe, on the 18th of July, and then I trimmed them again this morning on the 21st of July, just before filming this video. Tall fescue is definitely supposed to be tall. 4 inches is quite normal, honestly. And I've been trimming these to more in the 3.5 inch range. I have to assume that this is still just baby grass, because I cannot imagine a lawn full of that I was gonna step on and walk on. The blades are still quite thin. This is tall fescue. This is not fine fescue. Fine fescue, I'm going to have some videos coming out on fine fescue. Fine fescue, the blades are very, very thin like this, even when the grass is mature. Tall fescue, these blades should thicken out over time. I'm going to continue following this growth pattern, and I may end up repotting all of these into a more permanent pot, because these are just paper cups. Eventually that paper is going to start failing. But I do find this pretty cool. The dense seeded area looks very, very healthy, honestly. The medium looks fine. The light sowing is definitely too light, in my opinion. If I were to seed a lawn with a sowing that light, I just don't think it would be worth it. I think it's probably more worth it going heavy, but honestly, as things progress, I don't know, maybe the grass will thicken up and my opinion will change. This one I am really finding to be a fun experiment. Let me focus on it here. This is just a single seed that I planted, as you could tell from earlier in the video, and it has been growing nicely. It's funny, is I have actually cut more length off of this seed, or off of this grass blade, than any of the others. This thing has been growing, I mean, just gangbusters. So it's been growing longer and faster than the base can support. So I cut the top off and then it can straighten back up again. But man, I've cut a lot off the top already. Anyway, this video has been a fun experiment. It took 14 days to go from seed to pretty well established looking grass. It's certainly going to mature over the next few weeks, but it's pretty cool to see what the potential is for Kentucky 31 over a 14-day span. I'm going to have videos coming out within the next 30 days or so, a comparison of sorts between Kentucky 31 tall fescue and turf type tall fescue, because unbeknownst to many people, these are two completely different types of tall fescue grass. Kentucky 31 is kind of more of an older turf type. It is used in lawns, but the turf type tall fescue is, let's call it a more modern type of grass that does better in yards, arguably. But those are basically the tall fescues that you see in lawns, all in northern United States and, you know, other zones around the world. There are fine fescues. You usually hear a reference to tall fescue and fine fescue. Well, there are actually 4 main varieties of fine fescue that are used in landscaping and in some yard situations. Fine fescues are nowhere near as common in yards as tall fescues, but they are quite unique and interesting. I'm growing some in the garage right now, and I am excited to throw them on video and get them up here onto the Turf Mechanic YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. There's going to be a handful of videos coming out on those, and hopefully by the end of it all, you've got a pretty good understanding what the difference is between turf type tall fescue, Kentucky 31 tall fescue, and the 4 main varieties of fine fescues. I find it very interesting. Sometime down the road I might do this on other grass types, but this is pretty fun for me, especially since I don't have fescue in my own yard. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting.